Hi everyone, Susan with Little Fur Fleece here. Today's video is showing the process I use to make my caterpillar tunnel pet beds. As with all of my projects, I start by measuring out my materials before pre-assembly. For this caterpillar, I'm using a medium green color for the body, and I will need 2 of the same size pieces. Initially, I measured a bit too short, but corrected my mistake quickly so I didn't have to do it over again. Once I have both of the body pieces cut to size, I'll pin them right sides together before taking it to the sewing machine. For the floor, I'm using a lighter green and I will cut 2 pieces of that as well. These are also going to be pinned right sides together. I use the same light green color for the antennas, fold them in half and pin them along the sides. Later, they'll be topped with a handmade yellow pom-pom. First, I'll sew the base of the tunnel, and I leave an opening so that I can turn it out. This is going to connect to one of the body sides before it's stuffed. Next, I sew the sides of the tunnel and leave both short ends open. And I clip the bottom inside the tunnel and sew it together. After I turn it right side out, I place pins about 3 inches apart to mark where I'm going to sew the channels that I'll be stuffing later. I leave a gap of about 2 inches at the bottom because this is going to be the other side of the bed that gets sewn to the body, and I need room to turn the fleece under and hand stitch it closed before sewing it to the other side of the bottom. Now we stuff the channels. This is a personal preference of how much or how little foam or fluff to use, but I like them to be pretty full. It's not easy getting them consistent, but I'm sure the pets aren't critiquing my work. Be prepared to spend a lot of time on this part, as it is pretty tedious. Moving on to the pom-poms for the antennas, I start by sewing around the edges of the circle that will become the top and shape it into a ball using a bit of polyfill and then sewing it shut. I sew the long portion of the antenna down one side and stitch mask wire along the bottom portion of it. This is going to help it to be bendable when it's turned out and stuffed. Now back to the body. I hand stitched the opening from the end that I stuffed by folding in the excess fleece. This part isn't necessary as long as when you sew the body to the base that you're catching all of the layers and there isn't any openings. I prefer to hand stitch it because I think it looks a bit cleaner. When the body is stitched closed, I clip it to the base and use the machine to sew it together. If you make your own, you want to go slow here as this is about 6 layers of fleece that your machine is having to navigate. Back to the antenna. I hand sew the pom-poms to the stem portion of the antenna, making sure it's very secure. Usually I make about 2 passes around the circle. Final step is sewing on the antennas. I will also make 2 passes around the antennas to make sure that they're very secure to the body and the pet won't tear them off easily. And voila, we have ourselves a lovely green caterpillar that our small pets can use and enjoy. Let me know if you make your own caterpillar. I'd love to see it. And thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.